Forever. Dog.
D23. D23. D23.
Apple
D23.
has the big,
D23.
let's stand in front of the screen and talk about Apple.
D23.
Comic-Con has Hall H.
Come find yourself at D23.
But Disney has its own convention, folks. And this year it was called D23.
Come be with your closest friends at D23.
Where we learned the whole
Come see
everything,
the future of media.
Everything Disney is up to in
D23.
D23. It happened this week. Brett, we got to talk about it. Disney announced a whole slew of movies. Announced a whole slew of theme park stuff that you can go listen to. I'm sure the guys on Podcast The Ride are covering that.
Podcast The Ride.
You can get all the details about what's going on at the parks, I'm sure. But Brett, here we're going to talk about what's going on with Disney at the movies.
The movies. I mean, it's hard to separate the two because they did announce, one of the big announcements theme park wise was Avatar World right here in Disneyland.
Okay.
Because Disneyland doesn't get a whole lot. Because, Disney World,
they're always
as I understand it, they just have unlimited acreage and they just are building it to infinity.
Cool.
Disneyland, though, a little limited, but we are apparently getting Avatar World in Disneyland. Are you excited to go sail the breeze with the Na'vi?
Of the folks that I trust when it comes to theme parks, something I don't know or care about. Right. People like Alex Ramsey, people like the Podcast The Ride guys, people like Matt Rogers, even from Las Culturistas.
Oh, God bless.
Is a big all those folks love the Pandora rides and the Avatar stuff that's at Magic Kingdom.
This has already been happening in Disney World. We're going to get it now in Disneyland. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited. Brett, just in time for Avatar 3, maybe, it sounds like.
I cannot stress enough how much, honestly, even you just mentioning it is putting me kind of on pins and needles. I don't care about this. I want to talk about the movies.
All right. So part of D23 was, it's like a little mini Comic-Con for all the Disney insiders, Disney fans,
Disney nerds.
We got to get an invite to this thing. It's in Anaheim. It's right down the corner,
I would love to go.
The corner from us. D23, invite us.
We'll go.
Look, here's the thing. We will probably we'll be critical, but who gives a shit? We'll be honest. We're honest.
We also have children. I'm open to this being a blast.
Yeah, we already decided Sandy's 3rd birthday party.
Exactly.
Going to Disneyland. We're taking him to Disneyland.
We're not haters. We want to go to D23.
I want this to be good.
The tenor
I
with
want
which
you to
the
be
tenor
good. I want
with
you to
which
be the best version of yourself.
The tenor with which we're approaching talking about D3 sounds sour, and it's because there is a big fat fucking stinker though, Brett, in the pile.
Okay.
But can I start with something good that I saw?
Please.
You know how Disney makes these live action remakes? We have Cinderella, we have Lion King, etc.
Yes.
But Brett, did you see they're gonna do Lilo and Stitch? That's your favorite animated movie of all time.
I'm so nervous.
Even more than Ratatouille.
Because these live action remakes have only reinforced what is great about the animated movies. They have not charted out some sort of, live action, there's potential there. No, it's the live action Disney remakes have just been a joke. They are just it's just a weird sort of, I don't know, community theater version play of these Disney animated movies you love. I don't get it. They're not live action. This Lion King movie they just released a trailer for. It's this is more detached from sort of human reality than the animated version because it's just computer animation.
Definitely. I will say, from a business vision standpoint, putting one of these out a year with their legendary IP is the most obvious thing I
get
ever
that.
heard. So starting with that, that level, obviously good idea. These movies made a ton of money. So there's the money level. Creativity wise, none of these movies have really broken through in any way. People liked The Lion King, Jon Favreau's The Lion King, starring Donald Glover and Beyonce Knowles. People liked,
but it's relative to what? Have you seen the original Lion King? That is a masterpiece, stone cold masterpiece.
No one's comparing.
5 on our top 10 summer blockbusters of all time, and should have been higher. Honestly, a fucking masterpiece.
No one's comparing it to that, but I guess it's just as movies go, people enjoyed that one. Some people enjoyed the new Little Mermaid one. If you're a fan when you were a kid, if you were a fan of when you were a kid of one of these movies, and you want to go see the live action update. It's not a crime against humanity. They come out, but they aren't really high art, and it looks like they're getting sloppier and sloppier.
But they make so much money, though. I mean, that's why they're not going to stop making them. They make so much money. Because in my head, I'm like, just re-release Lion King. But then it's like, no,
just fucking remake it.
But the live action Lion King made so much fucking money. Idea. Oh my god!
So now they're following up the big winner Lion King with Mufasa, which is the newest movie from director Barry Jenkins.
So this is where Barry Jenkins has been.
Where's Barry Jenkins been?
Yes.
He's been making Mufasa. Brett, this trailer came out. We watched the trailer. Like you just said, Lion King's a masterpiece. I can think of, like, no joke, 25 iconic images from the movie The Lion King.
Yeah.
And I can think of 25 absolutely stunning world-class compositions by Barry Jenkins. This movie has neither any sort of, like, there wasn't a single cool shot in it or a single cool, like, image or concept. It was like on these flat CGI planes, CGI lions wrestling and rolling around.
Yes.
I was so disappointed. Barry Jenkins, he's supposed to be one of our great directors. He's about to be outclassed by Jon Favreau. I don't understand.
Yeah. It's what I was seeing in the new Planet of the Apes movie, where it's like we're getting to this point where it's like CGI layered on CGI, and that look is busted, man. That look is gross and not cinematic and not interesting, where it's just like CGI for, like, as we've talked about with movies like the 1999's The Mummy, etc. CGI works best in conjunction with practical effects. If you are just totally
it's tough
cashing out on practical effects and going CGI on CGI on CGI, like, and also like in like as a reboot of an animated movie, it's like, what, just do another animated movie. But it's like, but the problem is, I think the CGI has become cheaper, and like practical effects remain expensive because they require human labor. Whereas, like, with CGI, they are leaning into AI hard. They are leaning into whatever sort of AI sort of engines they can lean into hard.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, animation and definitely practical effects require you to pay human beings. And what we're seeing in the movie industry, like we're seeing across the economy, is the last thing people want to do right now is pay human beings to do something. That's the hardest thing to do and the most expensive thing to do. But it's the right thing to do, and it produces the best product. So for all of you leaning into this, like, CGI on top of CGI, give me a fucking break, man. This shit is busted. It's dumb. It looked bad.
Brett, there was a bright spot out of D23 in regards to movies.
Yes.
I'm
Here we go.
an older I don't care about Moana, right? But I also have a heart and a child and a sister that loves Moana, and just like, obviously, like, Moana's good and like kids love it and like it's not bad, right?
So the Moana's great.
Moana's great. Whatever.
Moana's great.
I have so much trouble. My dad when I was growing up, my dad would go to the movies together, but he would, like, drop me off at the movie I wanted to see, and then he would go see the movie he wanted to see, and we met up afterwards. I don't want to be that dad, and he's always like, I don't like animated movies. And now here I am, a grumpy old man. Anyway, Moana 2 looks totally lovely and fun, and I hope that all the Moana heads have a great time. You know, no harm, no foul in the Moana 2 trailer, right, Brett? Like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
you're a little grumpy about it.
It looks way better than the live action Mufasa trailer. It looks way better than the live action Snow White trailer, which just looks like they recut the Wicked trailer. You know, it's just like way too much CGI relative to human beings and practical effects. So it's just like blah. So the Moana 2 trailer stood out as the best thing that came out of D23. But I don't know. Compared to the first Moana, the trailer is just has that vibe of, like, sentimentality and self-congratulations and roteness, and and the first Moana is much closer to me to the Lilo and Stitch vibe. It doesn't get near that masterpiece, but it is closer in the sense of having a sense of humor, having a sort of goofiness and a silliness to it, whereas this trailer is like, okay, are you running for president or is this a movie? What the fuck are we doing here?
No, I can't. As much as I don't necessarily want to see Moana 2, I also can't get mad at Moana 2 because I haven't seen it yet. It looks totally fine.
It's the best thing that came out of D23.
It's essentially none of my business. But I also want to push back on your Snow White assertion.
Here we go. Let's talk Snow White.
It didn't look as bad as Wicked. Wicked looks busted. 2, I don't know. I at least in the Snow White trailer, they had sort of reminded me of iconic elements of Snow White that I had forgotten and had reintroduced them to me in a slightly captivating fashion while introducing the movie's 2 stars. Does it look like fucking, amazing, like Conclave or something? No, it looks like the Snow White live action reboot, but I like Rachel Zegler. She was amazing in West Side Story. She's obvious. I like how she's so hated and weird and bad at talking to people on the internet and stuff. Like,
I love that you like
that's
that.
nice. Like, I don't want these. I know what polished sounds like. Give me some rough edges. She's like kind of hateable. And she's
but not
a great
fun
actor.
hateable, not fun hateable. I
kind of love her.
Here are like two, like if I had like 2 actors that to me epitomize like anti-cinema. They're not cinematic. They aren't made for the movies. It would be Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, and here they are together in a movie, protagonist, antagonist. That doesn't bode well for Snow White for me. I think Gal Gadot should probably just be going off doing IDF commercials, and I think that Rachel Zegler is probably best on Broadway. But neither of them to me, like,
that's not a slight.
That's not a slight.
That's
at
a
all.
compliment.
That's not a slight at all. No. Look. Gal Gadot, obviously
is
trash actor. Why is she still getting?
Because she's a movie star. She's a terrible actor, and she's a great movie star.
Sure, yeah, great.
Well, she's an okay movie star.
But like Zegler, like honestly, no shade. Just like, I don't know. Just like, I think Zegler is well suited to like headlining. I mean, there's our new oh my God, who's Thoroughly Modern Millie? Who am I thinking of?
Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster. Here is our new Sutton Foster, right? God bless. What an incredible thing. Icon. Fucking go do it. But in movies, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. The acting doesn't feel right.
Did you see West Side Story?
The screen. Yes, but that
West Side Story is like
Joe,
honestly one of the best films of the past.
It's a West Side
20 years.
Story, though. It is.
She's murdered in it.
It is, yes, but that is that's like starting out with your best chance. It's like that is the epitome. The West Side Story is the point in the pantheon where Broadway and Hollywood like weirdly combine to like serve each other perfectly.
Spielberg's
but like that's it. That's her best chance at being in the movies. Everything else, she is like young, over emoting.
She's so young.
She's not that young.
How old is she?
She's not that young. I mean,
Google.
She's been in a bunch of movies.
She's under 30 years old. She's got a ton of career ahead of her. She's 25 years old?
She is 23 years old. Okay,
she's 23.
She's young. All right.
She's 20 fucking 3. She already was in one of the great movies of the century so far.
Easy.
Well, but whatever. Top 250 movies of the century. I mean, West Side Story, whatever you think about it, if you watch that thing is freaking incredible from top to bottom. I put it 1, you put it 250, whatever. Better than AI. Which IndieWire made
it
number
is like
one.
Here's a comparative example also, because we also have
she's 23.
Yes, and she also is a 23.
It's like an NBA player. We don't even give them guff until they're fucking 28.
Right, here's my question though: is this is one thing also that, and this is not about Zegler, but a trend that Zegler represents, which is like. Why didn't Jennifer Hudson get the same opportunities that Rachel Zegler is getting right now?
Jennifer Hudson was okay. First of all,
very similar trajectory. Is a like singer performer, like Broadway singer performer coming into movies. First thing out of the gate, Dreamgirls, huge fucking.
She won a fucking Oscar.
Huge fucking smash success. Yeah, and Rachel Zegler did not win an Oscar, and yet she gets every role, every fucking big role handed to her.
Wait, what are the other big roles?
Hunger Games.
What's on her upper? Oh, forgot about the Hunger Games.
Joe, Rachel Zegler is like the go-to like young actor for big. Yes,
she's like 6.
Yes,
she's like 6 or 7.
No. Only because she's now so busy, she can't accommodate anything. Hunger Games.
I like her shitty attitude. I like her good acting. I like that she's classically trained, not media trained. This is a pro Ziegler. At least my house is a pro Ziegler house.
That side of the podcast is pro Ziegler. This side of the podcast is saying very talented. Also boring as fuck.
She isn't. She's actually unboring. That's her whole thing.
Oh my God,
Brett. Tell the fans, stick around. It's going to be a fight episode.
Yes,
welcome to Movies, Baby.
Go. This week on Movies, Baby, Joe, we've got some new releases to review. We've got Eli Roth's Borderlands. We've got Cuckoo. We've got It Ends With Us. This is a weird slate of movies that we have to review this week, but we're going to do it. We've also got some breaking Hollywood news to discuss. And in the second hour, for Patreon only, we're going to be ranking the top 5 video game movies of all time. And if our pre-production conversations have been any indication, it's going to get dark and weird and really angry.
Folks, it'll be tough to find 5. Come join us.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Included, yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Oh, God. Joe, are you ready?
Oh, man.
Margaret, roll that theme song. There it is. Oh, I truly can't get enough movies.
I know. It's actually
even if they're bad.
No. Well, except video games.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
Except video game movies.
I can't get enough movies, baby. But how about you? Even video game movies. Do you have it bad too? That's when you know you really have it bad.
Yeah.
When I say one more ooey bowl. Whenever one ends, it's like the death of a friend. I get to wishing that there were 2 more reels, and then a voice cries out, "Move, baby, you're in my seat, and you don't want to mess with who the Philly movie freak."
I can't get enough movies, baby. Except the video game movies. I can't get enough movies, baby. Yes, it's true. Got it bad too.
He's got it bad. This week was bad.
I watched 30 every night of the year, like the moon I appear at all the movie theaters.
Every single one.
Cut to black. Roll credits.
Whoa, baby.
I'm lost in a fog. I need someone to talk to. Love
Hi.
the Georgia movie. Dog.
Watch all the Ooey Bowl movies, Joe.
Dog, I did, you fucking
I
ass.
can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough.
Yeah!
Welcome to Movies, baby. The weekly show where we break down the hottest movie news, review the latest releases, shout out forgotten classics, and prophesy the future of Hollywood. My name is Joe Cilio, a.k.a. the Philly movie freak, here as always with the Georgia movie dog himself, Brett Boehm.
Oh, go dog. We're only a couple weeks away from the start of the college football season, by the way. I'm getting very... This is going to turn into a college football podcast in 2 weeks.
We'll talk about it later.
I cannot wait.
But I don't...
August 31st versus Clemson in Atlanta. I'm looking at tickets. I don't think I can make it, but I'm thinking about it.
Go.
I'm thinking about it. Joe, we got to talk, though. We got to talk about the freaking box office before we get into anything. Margo, show me the money. What's going on in Hollywood with all this finances? Oh, look at that little effect. That's nice.
That's beautiful.
Nice. Oh my God. What a happy week at the Lively Reynolds household. Oh my God. Look at that. Or maybe not so happy because Deadpool and Wolverine still.
Wait, this is last week.
That's last week's, actually. That's last week. Did I send you last week's accidentally? My bad, Margo. If I sent you last week's, I'm sorry. But this week's, I can tell you, I've got it right here. We've got Deadpool and Wolverine is still in number 1. It picked up in its 3rd week. It picked up another $54 million domestic. It's over $1 billion worldwide.
Is that 2-3 weeks, Brett?
3 weeks.
Dang.
Massive success. I don't think, because it's sort of already done its worldwide rollout, it does probably not going to catch up to Inside Out 2, which is just shows you how insane Inside Out 2 was.
That is still
as
weird,
big.
almost.
I mean, Deadpool Wolverine, just phenomenon, massive success, biggest R-rated movie ever by a mile. Still $500 million away from Inside Out 2, and it's not gonna make it up. It's not gonna catch it up. So it probably ends the year at number 2.
Wow.
The only 2 competitors remaining would be Moana 2 and Joker 2. I don't see them.
Neither have issues. Maybe Joker 2.
I would say maybe Moana 2.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think either one though.
Nah.
I think they both have top 5 potential. I don't think they have top 2 potential.
No,
top 2 is probably
0% chance.
Top 2 will probably end the year what it is right now, which is normal. Usually you get out of the summer and whatever is in the top 2 slots end the year at top 2 for the box office because then we get into awards season. So Deadpool and Wolverine has probably secured a number 2 slot for the year, which is crazy for a movie that is not only R-rated but is like the most meta in-joke like corporate movie of all time. Bizarre that people like it, but they do.
Not since Barbie.
Not
been
yet
as corporate in joke as Deadpool.
Deadpool and Wolverine. And we heard from all of those lovely people on our TikToks last week all about how you don't get it. You don't get it. This is a fan service movie. To which I said, that's not a genre of movies.
Or also every movie should be a fan service
That's
movie.
Simultaneously a sort of, yes, there we go. That's simultaneously a like underpinning to all genre movies and also not a like literal genre of movies. Once you start saying fan service movie, capital FSM, you've lost the plot, okay? What you're talking about is something that should solely air in Hall H at Comic-Con. Coming at number 2, this is very, very interesting, Joe. It Ends With Us. We're going to be talking about It Ends With Us later. I went and saw it. I have thoughts. But the big headline this week is we have a new... They've been testing this out for a while, but now we officially have a new power couple in Hollywood, Joe. You've seen them on the red carpet. You've seen them in the VIP box at the Eras tour. You've seen them get married on a South Carolina plantation with visible slave quarters. Joe, I am talking about Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. This is the first time since Bruce Willis and Demi Moore in 1991 that a couple has had the top 2 slots at the box office. First time since 1991 with Bruce Willis and Demi Moore. Probably the most like iconic A-list couple of all time, up there with like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, but in terms of like in the like box office era, blockbuster era, I mean, that is like one of the probably the most financially lucrative movie couples of all time is Bruce Willis and Demi Moore because in 1991 we're talking about Die Hard 2 and Ghost.
Right.
Fucking massive movies. And likewise, we now have Ryan Reynolds with our version of Die Hard 2 and Ghost is Deadpool and Wolverine, and It Ends With Us.
It Ends With Us pulled in $50 million domestic this
$50 million domestic.
For Sony Pictures.
And then globally, it was it's closing in on $100 million globally right now.
Great. I mean,
and that is on a $25 million budget.
Massive hit.
So we're going to talk about It Ends With Us later. We're going to talk about all the fucking hijinks and gossip and rumors around it. We're going to talk about the movie itself, which I watched. But just to focus on the financials for a second, I like this financially for Hollywood because the thing that Hollywood has forgotten is like, and it's like, why did they forget it? There is a genre, and It Ends With Us is not a rom-com, but let's say like rom-com / like adult dramas. There is a genre of movies that if you cast it, if you pick the right property, cast it correctly, and market it effectively, you can make $50 million opening weekend. But the difference is, these movies cost nothing to make. Nothing to make. The budget is just Blake Lively's salary. There's the budget is nothing. The budget was what did I say? 20 million?
25 million.
25 million, right? And it's already at 100 million worldwide. Like, why did Hollywood go away from the rom-coms and the adult dramas? They're like, you don't have to do CGI.
Yep.
Your cast can be like 4 or 5 people. It doesn't have to be ensemble. These movies are cheap as shit. They can be like 1 or 2 locations plus some like aerial shots of whatever dumb metropolis you're in, and you're done. And then if done effectively, you're fucking cooking. Do you think this is a return to these movies, maybe?
I think actually it is because Colleen Hoover and her series of books, most famously is It Ends With Us, are humongous. These books are massive, and they are sort of the biggest example of this trend where romance novels or erotic novels are really coming back into vogue. Like romance bookstores are opening up, and friends like have romance, like big shelves full of romance novels or fantasy romance novels, and deep fandoms on Reddit and forums like this. And I bet that is a super lucrative sort of expanding niche, and I bet we will see more movies come out of that sort of spicy fiction, neo-spicy fiction, TikTok book talk fiction.
It's weird that we didn't get more of it in the wake of 50 Shades of Grey. I wonder if like people are so obsessed with their reputations, I think, that like because 50 Shades of Grey was what? Simultaneously a financial success beyond, and like weirdly a sort of reputational hit for the actors because it's sort of corny and awkward and not not like hip. Is it that? Is it people are so afraid to not be hip on Twitter that they don't do these movies anymore?
No. I think it's because Hollywood executives consistently and traditionally undervalue female audiences as a value prospect.
All right,
especially with like a major female demo. I'm sure there's tracking numbers where it's like less women go to the movies than men because they make 17,000 movies directly towards male skewing audiences, and they make like 30 directed towards women, and none with such a large women demographic as this expanding romance erotic sort of category in fiction and in movies. I bet it has something to do with that, Brett, where it's not 4-quadrant enough. But when you are able to attach Blake and you're able, and Colleen Hoover's book is as big as, it's not actually as big as Harry Potter, but it's a massive seller. The risk is mitigated and you can control costs and you hope for the high upside. And that's exactly what happened.
What It Ends With Us taught me is that 4-quadrant thinking is so outdated now, because I think the trick now is that you want one quadrant that is on fire. Because I'll talk about this later when we get into the movie, but when I sat in the theater for It Ends With Us, I thought I was at I was like, am I at a meeting for like a cult that I wasn't invited to? I was like, wow, there is such energy in this room for this movie. There is a fucking audience is on fire for this type of movie and wants more and more and more of it. There was like audible reactions to, because like in back-to-back weeks, I've seen what? Deadpool versus Wolverine, I've seen Twisters, I've seen Borderlands. There was not a bigger like in-audience reaction to a movie that It Ends With Us. People sighing, gasping, like this. Like there is we'll talk about the movie itself, but like, man alive, there's an audience for these movies out there, and maybe this starts a whole new trend. And look, just financially speaking, God bless, because
100%,
like literally no CGI, couple aerial shots of Boston, plus like all studio like backlot interiors, and 4 to 5 people in the cast. You're rolling in dough.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
You're right to say that like 4-quadrant thinking will be limited to the majors, as it already kind of is right now. But because in new media, with such a fractionalized media space where these sort of niche audiences create pockets and live in their own bubbles, if you can market to those active, engaged fans in a new media space, the power of a dedicated fan base is preposterous. And you're right to point out, we can see it right here in the dollar amount with the $50 million weekend for the
Unbelievable.
movie.
Less good news for the other 2 big new releases of the week. Borderlands, this is like a massive, I literally wonder if this is like studio ending like territory. This is massive failure for Borderlands. So Borderlands is the video game adaptation that has been in production hell forever. I mean, they were trying to make this thing starting back in 2015. They finally got a version of it into theaters directed by Eli Roth, even though it was not the version that he wanted to make, which we'll talk about later. And this was did not have, none of the major studios bit on this. So this ended up being a Lionsgate release, which is the biggest of what they call the mini majors, right? So you can't really call it indie. It's like it's a major studio, but is not one of the 5 major studios. But Lionsgate is about to take a massive fucking hit here because this thing, I mean, this is like bad. This is like when we look back at
what's the damage?
Cutthroat Island, Hudson Hawk, the movies that Heaven's Gate, the movies that ended studios. It was very similar to
you
what
think this is going to end Lionsgate?
I think it's
wait, tell me.
It's going to be a problem. Okay, so Borderlands cost, just production budget was about $120 million. And then marketing budget was not as crazy as, because it's not a major studio, but you're probably looking at $150 million budget. This movie made 8.5 opening weekend. Worldwide, it made 15.5. Okay, it's not like worldwide like swooped in and saved it. This thing made 15.5 worldwide on a probably what is $150 million budget. This is a problem. This is a problem for Lionsgate. This is the kind of thing. And look, we live in a new world financially where there's all sorts of hijinks you can play.
Not like this.
If this was 20, 30 years ago, we would be hearing that Lionsgate either went bankrupt or got bought tomorrow. This is the kind of thing where I'm like, keep an eye on Lionsgate. I mean, they've got enough. They've been savvy enough for long enough by doing stuff like John Wick and other things where like they probably got enough money in the bank to ride this out. But like this for a mini major studio, it doesn't have a fucking theme park on top of their studio lot. This is a problem. This is a big problem. I would like to, and we'll talk about why this was such a disaster later. But Jesus, that's bad. And then Cuckoo, I mean, we've talked about how big a year it's been for Neon and how well Neon has been doing with movies like Immaculate and of course Longlegs. They have their latest horror movie, Cuckoo, that came out, and it is, I would say, like, I mean, Neon is so smart. The budget for this movie is $7 million.
No, this is a great opening weekend.
It's $7 million budget.
It only grossed $3 million, and it pales in comparison to the $22 million wow of Longlegs that just recently came out.
But Neon is still smiling.
But this opened similarly to Immaculate, which was their biggest movie ever until Longlegs came along.
A little less, yeah. Immaculate was like 6-7, but
it's like a comparable-ish, you know.
I think what the takeaway is that like, this will probably end up being Neon's like worst release of the year, and this is totally
you're gonna make $10 million
totally like admirable for an indie studio. So Neon continues to crush. If this is their bottom, they are in good shape.
If this is their bottom,
they are in good shape.
Good for Neon. We love you. Keep fighting the fight.
Yes, because look, they only spent $7 million on it. They've already made $3 million. Domestic opening weekend.
It's fine. It's done.
It's fine.
It's
like
done.
I mean, if you look at like. I have to imagine they're a little, because I thought the trailer was very good, and it has like a very hot star in it, Hunter Schafer, also a hot like sort of like cult Comic-Con-y guy, and Dan Stevens doing his horror phase. You're going to tell us later, about how effective that was. But they're commodities, and the trailer was interesting. I have to imagine they're like a little disappointed, particularly off of the run they're coming off of, but only relative to how successful they've been this year.
Two things.
Because per screen is not great.
It only opened on 1,500 screens.
But per screen is lower than Trap in its second weekend.
Yeah, okay.
So I have to imagine they're a little disappointed, but only because the bar has been raised.
Because the bar has been raised.
Yeah.
This will make its money back. But I guess you're right, Brett. It's not the end of the world, but it's not what it could have been. I feel like Longlegs had a lot more marketing, but that is just hearsay. That's just pure me guessing. I have no idea.
It did.
Didn't
because
it feel that way?
It was a cleaner movie to market. Right. I mean, you'll tell me, I did not see Cuckoo. You saw it. I got from the trailer, I was like, oh, they don't know what this movie is. Yeah.
Well, that's fair. Yes. We'll talk. I can't wait to talk about it.
Because the trailer was just like, it's chaos. Come have fun with us.
I thought that was kind of like effective trailer. I mean, the Longlegs trailer was also, but I guess that's like serial killer. It has a Zodiac cipher. It has Nicolas Cage.
Longlegs had
so much easier.
3 horror tropes that it could really lean on.
Cuckoo enjoys being difficult to pin down.
All right, so we'll hear about how these movies actually are in our reviews coming up. But for now, let's hit some more movie news. Joe, I got some movie news to hit you with this week. Okay, so. Our little indie hearts were broken this week because 5 days before Todd Haynes' new movie was supposed to start filming, and this is coming off of May-December, which we named together unanimously named as the best movie of last year. I think it's one of the best movies of the last 10 years. Coming off of such a massive success of May-December, Todd Haynes was about to go into filming on his new movie starring Joaquin Phoenix, and then Joaquin Phoenix pulled out 5 days before it went into production. Apparently, his participation in the project was what the funding was based on, and so now the whole movie is kind of in disarray. Look, Todd Haynes... It sucks that Todd Haynes is not enough of a name on his own at this point to fund the movie, but apparently he's going to find another A-lister to get this movie made.
Which is awkward because the movie's idea came from Joaquin Phoenix. Who's a producer who brought it to Todd Haynes and Christine Vachon, and they built the whole entire thing. It's about a intense gay romance.
And
that was going to be
period.
It was going to be graphic, and Joaquin Phoenix reportedly pushed for the graphicness level to be ratcheted up. They were ready for an NC-17 thing, and then the word on the street is he got cold feet, is what they say in the press. And 5 days with the whole entire crew and team and money all gotten and distributor everything all figured out or on its way. The whole production was starting in 5 days, and he bailed. So
I don't like this. This looks bad for Joaquin. This looks very bad for Joaquin.
It's bad for Joaquin. It's bad. It's going to make the whole entire press tour for Joker 2 awkward as hell. He's not going to get nominated for any awards now because everyone's going to hate him this year because he pulled this stunt. He pissed off Vachon. He pissed off Haynes. You
pissed off Vachon.
That's not good.
That's not good,
but
dude.
Seriously, it is a bad look. But you know what, though? You know what's going to happen because of this? Ultimately, what's going to happen is we're not going to get to see the version of this movie. They're going to take Joaquin to court. It'll be figured out with the money. Joaquin. They're going to sue him. It's going to go through all that. But in 6 months, there will be no problem with Joaquin Phoenix's career in Hollywood. He's too bankable and too huge and too famous, and nobody cares in the macro sense about this in 2 to 4 to 6 months, and it will blow over. But it's incredibly disappointing.
Joker 2 will just wipe this news off the face of the earth.
Unfortunately, this only this matters to a smaller group of people than we'd like it to. Yeah. But it actually is impactful. I think that it is going to end up changing some like contract structures, or certainly when people want. Joaquin Phoenix is always traditionally difficult to convince to come to set. Apparently, I read so much so that on Napoleon.
I read this.
He
wanted Paul Thomas Anderson to rewrite.
Paul Thomas Anderson had to come rewrite it, or else Joaquin.
He threatened to walk off if Paul Thomas Anderson didn't come and rewrite it. Right. But Paul Thomas Anderson was busy and couldn't come and rewrite the Napoleon script.
Yes.
And so they eventually talked him back.
They got him.
But he's this is
difficult. I always imagine Joaquin in real life is just his character in The Master, and he's not acting during The Master. That's how I always imagine he must be to deal with. He's just such a weirdo. Anyway, I hate that story. I would have loved to see that movie.
I know.
I would have loved to watch
this does not look good because
anal penetration on a big screen with Todd Haynes' eye and Joaquin Phoenix's cock. That would have been amazing.
But great.
Sorry, this is a live stream.
But what it feels like happened is that Joaquin Phoenix came into Todd Haynes, Christine Vachon world and says all right, I love what you guys do. Let's get even gayer with it. And I'm going to be the big name on it. And then they got the movie into production. The script was made. And then and then 5 days before the shooting, he was actually too gay for me. I'm out.
I can't deal with that.
I'm out.
I'm scared.
Does not look good for you, Joaquin. Does not look good for you. Okay.
It sucks. It's lame.
Okay.
Joaquin's weird. As much as he has all these iconic,
you're going to do all the shit you did in Beau is Afraid, but you can't do a gay sex scene. Give me a break, dude. Give me a fucking break.
It's so
okay.
lame.
And also if you're not down for the gay sex, stay away from the greatest filmmaker of our generation, Todd Haynes. Don't fuck up his fucking arc. And the greatest producer of our generation, Christine Vachon. Stay out of their world if you're not down to clown, my dude.
Why would
But you are down. You're down to clown for Joker 2. You're down to be the Joker clown.
Nice,
right?
Poison, Safe, Far From Heaven, Velvet Goldmine. You probably should have done this movie.
Yes.
Anyway,
Joe and I next year we've decided are going in honor of 2025. We're going to do our top 25 movies of the millennium.
Brett.
I don't see how Todd Haynes doesn't have 2 to 3 movies on that list. He's the fucking man. He is the dude. And Joaquin Phoenix, you're fucking with his shit.
No, don't fuck with it. There's definitely there's no doubt gonna be one. I wonder how many there were in the because
definitely
Brett
one.
So IndieWire, not to get off track, came out. Is this one of your news items?
No,
IndieWire.
No,
IndieWire this week came out
it.
with its 100 best movies of the past 25 years since 2000. It was a very fun list.
It was a fun list.
It was a great list to read.
I see what you're doing, IndieWire, and I respect it.
They have all these amazing international films that you love and admire, but then they smartly and funly, whether or not you agree, they made AI, artificial intelligence,
super fun. Could not
Steven
agree with
Spielberg's
you less. Could not support.
Movie.
Could not support the decision more. Could not agree with it less.
I think that's well said.
Yeah.
And that was number one. So anyway, Brett and I had
we want to do that.
We want to do
this.
So anyway, all we're saying is Todd Haynes is going to make the list.
But we are not. we are not always chasing these. More often than not, these legacy media outlets are chasing us because did you see this week?
No.
After our last week's episode, Vulture came out with their ranked list of M. Night Shyamalan movies. We're going to talk about this next hour. We're going to talk about this next hour, okay? We got there first. We were doing
30 outlets, 300 outlets.
We
probably
were
did that
ranking M.
last
Night
week.
Shyamalan last week.
That's not a night. That's the first thought.
But here's what I want to talk about. This will be in the second hour for Patreon subscribers only. Joe, guess what the worst M. Night guess what Vulture's worst M. Night Shyamalan movie was?
I know.
Our first M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Happening. So we're going to talk about that in the second hour. But a couple more news items before we get into the movie reviews. Speaking of long legs, Osgood Perkins already got a new fucking movie out. There's a trailer. There's festival dates. It's called Monkey. It stars who I think is one of the best up and coming underrated actors right now, Theo James. I thought was the best part of White Lotus season 2, the most underrated best part.
He's a good actor.
Theo James was Theo James, and then that Gentleman TV series they did based on the Guy Ritchie movie. He's fantastic in that. Theo James is a real fucking talent, and he's an interesting talent because he is so A-list handsome that you just sort of that's the first thing you see. But this guy has the instrument working, dude. He can do a lot, so I'm excited for Theo James in an Osgood Perkins movie. It's based on Stephen King. Source material. It's called Monkey. We've got a trailer. We've got, I think, festival release dates. What do you think? Is Osgood Perkins sort of churning something out too soon after Long Legs, or are you ready to ride this train?
No. You know how who knows how long it takes to get these things off the ground?
Sure.
Yeah, or how long we saw Long Legs. He might have been finished that thing for 12 months for all we know, right? Yep. So James Wan could have seen Long Legs 9 months before we did, or he saw an early draft of it, or the buzz out of the studio was this thing's looking amazing when it's coming back to us. And also he had made some films before, and also he has a name and a vibe. And Long Legs, now he has serious financial energy. That thing was a huge hit, and he has Long Legs has a very distinct visual style that I think will really serve in larger James Wan produced films, horror films. That being said, James Wan is working with Neon on this one. Neon will be distributing this film.
Not Blumhouse,
which is interesting. Because the Neon loves Osgood and Osgood loves Neon, and why wouldn't they? They made the biggest movie in studio history together. I adore James Wan. Yep. As far as horror directors go, he is in the driver's seat of horror, kind of at the top with Jason Blum, because he is the best. And he is the best because he knows how to craft scares. He has an amazing filmography, everything from The Conjuring to Malignant. I adore James Wan. He has a bad movie or two, but who doesn't? And as a producer, he has a bunch of good stuff. But anyway, Osgood is Osgood's talented. James Wan's the god.
So you're excited for Monkey.
And you like Theo James.
I'm excited for Monkey. I like Theo James.
I'm excited for Monkey.
I'm excited.
Why wouldn't I be?
And then speaking of James Wan, he's got another big project in production that he's going to be directing with Scarlett Johansson, which is, and this is all still rumored. I don't think it's official, but apparently James Wan directing, Scarlett Johansson starring, Creature from the Black Lagoon at Universal. What do you think?
I think that's an amazing choice.
Great job.
Why wouldn't I?
Great job. Come on now.
Rebooting Universal monsters.
We've been trying to do this forever.
Actually having a great director do it, even better idea. James Wan gets sort of attitude from the horror community because he's not just a creative genius, he's also a financial genius. And once you start winning in Hollywood, people gotta hate you for whatever. Like Steven Spielberg, I hate that guy. He's fucking win, West Side Story, the best movies ever, blah, blah. James Wan's like that. It's okay, so he's really good at crafting franchise IP out of his movies. It's brilliant. I hate the Wan hate is so stupid. He's one of our greatest living horror directors, and he's going to do Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Come on,
and also by the way, Scarlett Johansson, I think she's been in our lives for so long, and she has all this cultural weight and baggage and has been in 1 million movies. Like, you kind of forget she's a great actress. Like, what if the fucking Creature from the Black Lagoon is awesome, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if we get sort of under the skin you know, era sort of Scarlett Johansson,
so many wonderful performances she pulls out of her
Don't forget.
She's awesome.
She's got the chops in the right context.
Great.
And this sounds like it's going to be the right context. I can't wait for their Creature from the Black Lagoon. Hopefully it gets made. A couple more
the Aquaman director going back underwater. Come on.
Couple more movies in production that we're excited about or are already been released. Our second favorite movie of the year, Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World, directed by the Romanian director Radu Jude. Radu Jude already has 2 new movies out at the Locarno Film Festival right now. They are both like experimental found footage movies. One's called 8 Postcards from Utopia. One's called Sleep Number 2. This is the Romanian Harmony Korine. This is our fucking guy. If you are not on the Radu Jude train, get on this shit. Start with Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World. You can watch it on Mubi, and then get excited because we've got 2. This guy's prolific. He's churning shit out. He's already got 2 new things at Locarno right now. Radu Jude is the fucking truth. We also heard this week that there is we knew we were getting an Anthony Bourdain biopic. We knew like an Anthony Bourdain biopic from A24 is like the sun coming up. We knew that was going to happen. What we found out this week is some casting and some directing choices, which both of which I think are really exciting. Apparently, this kid Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers, this kid who was literally just like the best kid in his theater class at his private school, who got cast in The Holdovers, is now portraying Anthony Bourdain in an A24 biopic. So God bless. I mean, the look is there, the vibe is there. I think this kid can pull off Anthony Bourdain. And then directing, but I'm more excited about the director because they've got Matt Johnson, who was the director and co-star of Blackberry, one of my favorite movies of last year. He plays in the movie. He plays what's his face? I
didn't see Blackberry.
But the Canadian guy,
Jay Baruchel.
Thank you.
Oh.
He plays Jay Baruchel's like sidekick in the movie. He directed the movie. He's just this like fun, wacky Canadian auteur. And he did great stuff with Blackberry. That's one of like, we were all exhausted by the, startup movie genre, Silicon Valley startup movie genre. He totally reinvented it with Blackberry. It was like gritty and low budge and fun and gross and not like weirdly fetishizing of Silicon Valley. Blackberry is so good. I can't wait to see what this guy does with this Bourdain biopic and Dominic Sessa in the lead. I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited for what we're seeing here.
Sounds like a bunch of great elements. I have this thing where just like, can we let the dead be dead for at least?
Yeah.
I have like a 10-year biopic rule.
Sure.
Just like I have like 5 years is fine, but like really it should be 10 years. Or you can do the living wake like Oliver Stone does when you W Nixon.
Right. Or they have to be alive and be reviled.
They're alive. Yeah.
There has to be like an immediacy because they're destroying the world.
Sure.
Or you have to you have to give them 20 years.
I like them being alive because
A,
you're being political, and B, it's too soon to make, like, you don't have like a fully formed opinion on this person's life yet because it's in the middle of it. But I hate, like, Bourdain barely died. And he just died.
Like, and also, what's
the story we got to rush to tell? Like, The Bear did well on FX, and now we have to rush Kitchen Confidential into production. Like, I get it financially, of course. And Dominic's a great choice, and Bourdain is one of our most beloved, interesting people and guys or whatever. I'm not surprised you're making a Bourdain documentary. I'm not surprised it's coming out now. I'm not surprised all those things. I just.
That's
just
why
a little more respect for the dead.
That's why the Matt Johnson inclusion is key to me, because I think he's going to find a version that is more in line with like Danny Boyle's Jobs, what Jason Reitman seems to be doing a Saturday Night. I think he's gonna find like a vignette in Kitchen Confidential and build a sort of like real time movie out of that vignette. That would be amazing if it was some sort of like one day in the life of Kitchen Confidential era Bourdain would be amazing. And then you're sort of hinting at the larger life. If he's trying to do some sort of or if he's forced to do some sort of large scale biopic, count me out. I'm not interested. But if he's doing like real time Kitchen Confidential era Bourdain,
that's the bear.
Come on now. Well, that's what the bear wishes it could
and that sounds fine.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, also that we already made a Bourdain biopic. It's called Burnt. Okay.
No, it's called Boiling Point. With our buddy with our buddy from Snatch.
Vinnie Jones?
Boiling Point, not Vinnie Jones. Not Vinnie Jones, our guy Stephen Graham. Boiling Point with Stephen Graham.
You love Boiling Point.
The true.
But Burnt, isn't that Bradley Cooper plays Bourdain?
Sure.
All right. Well, look, we'll all see Bourdain.
Two more tiny news items, and then we're going to get into our new movie reviews. Number one, the new PTA movie. We've heard little snippets here and there. We finally got what appears to be a precise number on the budget. Get ready for this. They gave PTA $140 million.
Wow.
$140 million PTA movie.
Wow.
Are you fucking kidding me? Let's go.
That's cool.
Let's go. And my read is that like he wanted the budget. He's going to use the budget is essential to the movie. PTA is making a big budget movie. What does this mean? I cannot wait. But I want fucking it better not have gone to fucking cast. They better all be working on fucking scale. I think this thing is going to actual effects and like locations and like I think this is going to be a large scale big PTA movie. All we know is that we have a title. We have a working title, which is the Battle of Bacton Cross. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because no one has said this word out loud before. It's apparently loosely based on Thomas Pynchon's Vineland, which is like a story of like sort of hippie radicals, you know, that era of like the Chicago 7 and the New Haven 5 and this and that. So, and the like, you know, kidnapping of Patty Hearst. And it's like that era of like sort of, you know, leftist radicals in American history. So it might have something to do with that. We don't know. We do know it has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, who's never worked with PTA. Regina Hall, Sean Penn, Alana Haim. So he's bringing his Licorice Pizza cast into this. Teyana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, who we worked with in Inherent Vice. Come on now. They gave my dude $140 million. They gave the Valley Boy $140 million.
That's really cool.
I'm
really very, cool. Very excited.
That's very cool.
I heard there's some supernatural elements. or something.
Wait, really?
I heard there's
supernatural.
That's a word I heard. That's a word I heard.
And this is all coming from Warner Brothers down the street. This ain't Universal. This is the old WB down the street, baby. They gave PTA $140 million. I love it. And apparently, word on the street was it was Leo. It's like that's like the Leo budget. They like it's the fact that he got Leo in the movie is what got him $140 million.
I cannot wait to see Leo in a PTA.
Can you believe it?
No,
I think it's a great fit. I think it's a really great fit.
Leo's often the perfect fit.
I wonder why he didn't. And it could just be scheduling, but I'm wondering why he went with Leo over Joaquin for this.
Because Joaquin fucking sucks and Leo's a great hang. And Leo is a better actor. Well, we could really have that conversation one day, couldn't we?
Joaquin sucks and Leo's a good hang. That's probably spot on.
Joaquin's an incredible actor. I mean, he sucks to like as a vibe. Like he's bringing Alana Haim to like come back and fucking hang out and, you know, do whatever, you know, do PTA stuff. Like he just wants to hang out with Leo. Leo's famously like, you know, a guy's guy, a movie lover, and a great actor and brings the money with him. Like it's no shock to me. Also like
Pussy Posse 2.0. Leo,
Margot,
PTA, Teyana Taylor, Alana Haim, Cooper Hoffman, who honestly,
Dick Ebersol himself.
I'm stealing this from Tom in an as yet unreleased episode of Double Threat. I agree. Best part of that Saturday Night trailer is Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol. Okay. I think so. I think that's like, it's just the one part of the trailer where it's like, okay, I can like relax and enjoy a performance and not be like weirdly on edge with some like overachieving weirdo trying to like impersonate someone. All right. Last news I have for you, and then we're going to get into these goddamn reviews.
Hit me.
Do you know I want you to guess how much per person George Clooney and Brad Pitt got for being in Wolves?
$30 million each. Did I ever shoot
If you were their agents, you were fired.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But the movie has to have like other money attached to it to like put
Does
it.
it? I don't give a shit about that. I'm representing George Clooney and Brad Pitt. How much money am I asking for?
$45 million each.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
They each got $45 million
to do the
honestly.
Apple Plus
Props
movie?
to Joe. That's a second guess. He nailed it on the head. That's a
Thanks.
fucking CEO of a media company right there, baby. Brad Pitt and George Clooney each got $45 million for Wolves. Guess who that's good news for and bad news for? Good news for George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Bad news for Wolves.
Yeah, bad news for Angelina Jolie's lawyers.
All right. Also, they pay. All right, Apple, because we saw what happened with Fly Me to the Moon. Like Apple,
we saw what happened with fucking Napoleon, with Killers of the Flower Moon. Good movies too.
Here's an idea. Also, Killers of the Flower Moon is a great example because that was like one of Leo's like there was apparently with the PTA thing there was like a little bit of doubt about giving it that much money because Killers of Flower Moon did not make so much theatrical, but the reason of all of this is because Apple doesn't know how to do movie. Get out of the movie business, Apple. You fucking suck at it. Fly Me to the Moon. You spent $100+ million on the budget. That thing made under 10 million opening weekend, and then you're gonna put it on Apple TV and like expect some like is this some sort of like producer's gambit where you're making money by losing money?
Well,
because like
well, you know what Alex Ramsey, our co-founder and partner, always says? He always says that when Apple makes a movie, they don't give a fuck about they don't think of it in terms of a movie budget. They need faces to put on the screen of every single iPad and every single Apple store in the world, and they need banners and they need glossy stuff at the Apple 23 convention. You know, they need all of
garbage
that.
shit.
So basically, it's like Apple has a bigger marketing budget than $120 million. They got $1 billion marketing budget, right? It's Apple, the greatest marketing company in the world. They just buy it because they just want George Clooney and Brad Pitt's faces on every single iPhone, in every single ad, on every single television and store across the entire world. That's why they do this.
Because this film is getting a one week release in theaters, and then we'll immediately begin streaming on.
Doesn't
Apple
matter
TV.
to them. They don't care about this.
But that's what I hate. They don't care about it.
Apple doesn't care, or Apple has alternative strategies. The question is, do George and Brad care? Like, whose project was this? Who put this thing together? Like, we're not ready to review this movie yet, so we don't know the details. But I'm excited to learn, Brett.
This looks like a nothing movie that no one put a whole lot of effort to, and Brad Pitt and George Clooney just cash in on their celebrity to get $45 million and be the face, like you said, of the iOS apps for fucking 4 months. But that doesn't make sense.
Did you hear for the new iPhone, they all come preloaded with wolves?
I bet it does. I bet it's like the new U2 album. Wolves is going to show up on your phone every time you open it up.
Every time you get in the car for the next 4 years, Wolves is going to start playing.
All right, we got 3 movies to review here. 3 new movies to review. We've got Borderlands, Cuckoo, and It Ends With Us. To start with Borderlands.
Hit me. I want TikTok gold.
Okay, so I saw Borderlands. You did not see Borderlands.
I did not, Brett.
And like, no shade because
no.
You had to watch literally fucking 30 movies this week. Video game movies. You watched Cuckoo, etc. So it's going to be a little bit of tag teaming
I'm
this
excited
week
to hear
because
about
of like, all right. So here's the thing about Borderlands. I watched it. I played the video game. I watched the movie blind, and then I sort of caught up on the online discourse. So I'm going to go in sequence then. Video game is great. It's a lot of fun. It's not as like, it's not like a rich with lore video game. It's like a first person shooter in a cool backdrop with cool characters, and it's sort of like Mad Maxy. It's like, you know, I don't know, steampunk, cyberpunk sort of thing in a desert landscape. It's fun. The movie I went and saw with Amy, my wife, it could not be more of just a like baseline, that was fine movie. It didn't sort of like trigger any of my like instincts. It did not trigger my instinct to hate it. It did not trigger my instinct to love it. It was just a movie. It was fine. It's fun to see Cate Blanchett like try out an action movie, try out that kind of a thing. It's very funny because she's still doing like 800 facial movements a second, but there's like no emotional dramatic context for those things to land into, so it just looks like she's like twitchy. Like it's like Cate Blanchett trying to act in a movie that doesn't require acting, but she looks cool, her hair looks cool, her outfit looks cool. You get like a sort of Guardians of the Galaxy vibe with it. It's fine. I had no problems with this movie. I also didn't like it that much. It's just sort of, if you're looking for like a little fun night out at the movies right now, and you've seen everything else, Borderlands is a decent option to try. Knowing that Eli Roth directed it, I was a little disappointed by the lack of like sort of like
violence,
stylized gore and violence. It's very much a PG-13 version of Borderlands. It's pretty tame in terms of the gore and violence. I mean, Kevin Hart could not be phoning this movie in more, but that's
weird. He's not usually a phoner inner. He's usually a goer forwarder.
You think so? That's his whole career, is phoning shit in.
No, his whole career is just kind of meeting the material with enthusiasm and volume.
I think his whole career is just like saying yes to everything, and so at a point that requires you to phone stuff in because you're
too busy.
It feels like he's like acting in his Borderlands scenes, like in the middle of having a Zoom call for his next movie. It's that kind of a thing where it's like, oh good, we got Kevin for 3 seconds, so let's shoot 2 scenes real quick. It is so. But it's also like not a movie where that registers. It doesn't matter that he's phoning it in because the whole movie is sort of lightly phoned in.
Which one of the Borderlands cast of characters was the worst?
Probably Kevin Hart.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Kevin Hart. Yeah. Just
phoned it in.
I would say the young girl was not great. Like her look is very cool and her vibe is very cool because they're just taking it straight from the Borderlands. Ariana Greenblatt is, but who has also been in, I don't know. Let's see. She was the kid in Barbie. That's where I know her from.
Okay.
She was the young kid in Barbie, and has been in some other stuff you can see on her IMDb. She's just.
This sucks.
I don't know. Yeah. Look,
I am an
it's
Eli
not
Roth
great,
defender,
but I was not. Look. There's probably a more interesting movie that Eli Roth made that got scrapped because Lionsgate got kind of scared, and they tried to do the classic like middle of the road thing.
Such a mistake, especially 2 weeks after Deadpool and Wolverine
so
just
weird.
did the
Yes.
loud, rude R thing.
And I guess because then when I went online, I saw like people are furious about this movie. It has like a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
All of the nerd blogs are furious about this movie. And I was trying to like understand the fury because I was like, it's not a movie for me that inspired fury. It just inspired a kind of like, okay, movie, saw a movie. But I think the fury is around the trying to sort of play to this imaginary wide audience where you're not playing to anybody, scrapping the Eli Roth R-rated cut, doing the softer, gentler cut,
going for 4 quadrant.
Exactly. I think trying to play it safe and going broad is what people are mad about, particularly because you had Eli. Like, why hire Eli Roth if you're going to just go broad and sort of PG-13 with it? I think that's what people are mad about, and I understand that. But if you just like go without any context to the movie, you're just gonna be like, cool, fine, movie, next. It's in because the movie that I saw in theaters, it's like it didn't seem to be like you watch Deadpool and Wolverine, and you're like, what is fucking happening? It wasn't like that. It was like a movie.
It's just straightforward.
Just a fucking
adventure,
movie.
right?
It's just an adventure movie, comic book movie,
the day
video
at the
game
end.
movie. They saved the day.
That's good.
Cate Blanchett looks cool. It's fine. There's good bad guys, good heroes, blah blah blah. But I understand people's ire about, I think, around like the wasted potential of the movie is, I think, what people are so mad about and why they're rating it so low. So I would say if you've read the reviews, I think the reviews are misleading as to what the actual movie is, because I think the reviews are based on like the wasted potential of what the movie could be. So if you care about the Borderlands franchise and you're a big Eli Roth stan, you're probably going to be disappointed. If you just need to fucking get out of the house for 2 hours and watch a movie, here's a classic example. Our mother-in-law was in town this week, and so Amy and I had like this rare opportunity to go out together to see a movie. And I was like, here's all the movies I have to see this week. Like, what do you want to see? I gave her It Ends With Us. Damn. I gave her Cuckoo. I gave her all the fucking, we can sit home and watch one of these video game movies. And she was like, no. And she's like, oh, Borderlands. Yeah, let's go see that. That's perfect.
Really?
Like, yeah. Because it's
she
like,
likes a sci-fi kind of thing.
She just wants a movie.
Just want a movie.
Movie.
Go out to the movie.
And that's what it is. So I think the hatred of it is misleading, because it's like the hatred is like a very vocal fan community not getting what they wanted and sort of like jamming the reviews, you know. If you have no expectations for Borderlands, you're gonna have a perfectly fine time in a movie. If you have big expectations for this, you're gonna be disappointed. That's the movie.
All right, well, I'll be reviewing this week Tillman Singer's new horror feature Cuckoo from Neon, starring Hunter Schafer as Gretchen and Dan Stevens as Herr Koenig. So the plot, the description goes, in the Bavarian Alps, grieving teenager Gretchen uncovers a horrifying conspiracy at a resort town where her family's new employer is involved in a sinister experiment. Okay.
All right.
So there's the little description of what's going on in this movie Cuckoo. So this movie came out, we talked about Neon. It didn't launch as big as Longlegs. It didn't launch as big as that. And it didn't get as much buzz, despite having Hunter Schafer, who's like a hot up-and-coming actress from Euphoria, and from, she's been doing a bunch, she's famous and popular and young. Like, Sydney Sweeney was in Immaculate and really helped that movie go. Longlegs had its distinctive marketing, and that really went. And this movie has these elements, and I feel like it's being taken a little less advantage of by Neon, but maybe that's not true. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's kind of true. This is a German co-production. There's just a little less assuredness about Hunter Schafer as opposed to Sydney Sweeney or Cuckoo, and this director as opposed to Osgood Perkins and Longlegs, which they really felt good about. Because Cuckoo is kind of difficult, Cuckoo's not interested in giving you all the answers, which people do not like. You have to wait until the entire movie is over before you can sort of reflect on how the plot developed. And Brett, on the internet, a lot of these plot heads, and I'm sick of these plot heads. It's these guys addicted to the plot. The plot heads, like, they need to be in control the entire time watching a film, where they feel unsafe. If they aren't the smartest person in the room that knows all the answers at all times, plot heads cannot hang in the movie. The
plot heads are wild. Really quick, a plot heads anecdote. Last week, we named The Happening as the best M. Night Shyamalan movie of all time. We said it deserves a big cultural sort of like rewatch and reappreciation of what's actually going on in the movie. And in the clip that we put out on TikTok, the clip, we're saying things like, The Happening is way ahead of its time. Like, I don't think we still understand what M. Night Shyamalan's actually doing in The Happening, this and that. I got so many comments that were like, we all know what's going on in The Happening. The plants are killing the people. And it's like, no, I know what the plot of the movie is. I am talking about like the thematic thrust of the movie and the meaning of the movie and the overall sort of like structure of the movie. These plot heads literally think the plot is the only, did you not take like English classes in high school? Do you not understand that like themes are part of the discussion? What the fuck is wrong with these people?
I don't understand it. Also, why are you so addicted to the plot? It's because their only lens through which they can approach any sort of film or artistic criticism is telling you what got right and what got wrong. Oh, there's a Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones.
Oh, so no, throw out the whole season.
So I'm fucking right about everything because it's like when Neil deGrasse Tyson has to do the shtick about why space is fake in this movie. This is everybody's approach to film criticism. Well, how was he supposed to get from point A to point B? Now, sometimes movies are trying to keep you engaged via plot and narrative devices and failing. Well, that's legitimate criticism. When these movies are built in sort of with like abstraction or sort of different voices or tenors or approaches to storytelling, people lose their minds and they become plot heads, which is silly because Cuckoo is a very intricately designed, very well structured, a la a Cuckoo Clock, Brett.
I gotta watch
well-structured movie that by the end, all of the pieces and all of the themes have fit together really wonderfully.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's a very original story. Though he's pulling from these different European influences, none of them are brazenly obvious, which is kind of pissing me off in horror recently, where it's like, okay, like you liked The Exorcist? Okay, like I fucking got it. Like check. Like you like Silence of the Lambs? That was good. Like I'm glad. This is the same fucking movie. Cuckoo, this person has influences and watched movies, but you know, just sort of like Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool, it felt original despite this person having inspirations. The cinematography in this was really wonderful. It wasn't a distraction. It stayed out of the way. It was confidently told. It didn't have that sharp stylistic flavor of Longlegs, but that, as much as that is an asset to Longlegs, I find it also to be a detriment when people try to it can be a detriment when people try to fancy it up and make shots look artistic for artistic's sake. This movie, much like the actual OG Silence of the Lambs by Demi, is just shot like a fucking movie, and it looks great and it's well done. You know what I mean? It's not in your face with that cinematography. The cinematography is serving the story. I thought the acting was very good. Hunter Schafer's really good in this movie. She carries the thing all the way through. The problem is that her acting partner is Dan Stevens, who is to me, the man Dan Stevens is an enigma to me, Brett. He's obviously always the production team's second choice. It's not that he's not talented. It's not that he's not handsome. It's not that he doesn't bring it. He's just like a human consolation prize, and it's sort of depressing to watch him on screen. The energy he kind of gives is Emmy Award winner, and that doesn't really always like service the needs of the film.
Because speaking of a Cuckoo Clock, like clockwork, for the last 2 years, it seems like every 3 to 4 months, we get this like clearly this piece that has clearly been like planted by his PR team, that is the headline is something like Dan Stevens enters his weirdo phase, or like Dan Stevens throws away marquee roles for like weird horror roles, or like Dan Stevens is a freak and he wants the world to know it. And it's like, I need where is the fucking performance that actually fucking cements this narrative?
Cuckoo
the narrative is preceding the performances.
Yeah, he in Cuckoo, he rides the line of sinister and silly, and it's effective. And he's actually sort of understated, even though the movie is signaling hardcore, and his performance is too, that he is the bad guy from the second he's on the screen. He kind of pulls it back a smidgy, but ultimately Dan is completely incapable of pulling it back. It's just, he just has a vibe of, it's a little too silly, a little too performative, a little too something. I don't want to hate on you, Dan. You're handsome. You're funny and good, but you're never funny and great. And you're okay. Man. Let me
level a challenge here, because I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do this like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Is Dan Stevens our new like horror weirdo movie supporting actor? I can't. So here's what we're gonna do though, because like there is some industry force at work that is like making him get cast in these roles.
Budgets, they can't afford it. Somebody else,
and then is like pushing the PR hard to make it seem like this is his choice, and he's like, and this is the new guy. So here's what we're gonna do. Okay, here's the challenge. Okay, I don't know who the director is, but remake The Shining. Dan Stevens is Jack Torrance. If it doesn't work, you're done. We never hear from you again. I want you to put your money where your mouth is. One big role. You want to be the horror weirdo? Shining remake. You play Jack Torrance. Look, I think it's going to fail, but maybe it won't. Maybe you fucking nail it, okay? But here are the stakes. all in or all out. If the movie is a fucking flop and you're terrible at Jack Torrance, which you will be, then we're done with this narrative. We're done with Dan Stevens as the fucking horror like weirdo savior character actor. If it works, God, welcome to the pantheon, baby. But I can't do this like little 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing anymore, okay? Or like this sort of like lingering narrative that Dan Stevens is the new horror weirdo supporting character actor. Let's go big and decide if this is real or not, and then be done with it one way or the other.
He's born to have a 6-week vanity run as Billy Flynn on Broadway. That is what he is born to do.
Okay, sorry. Scratch the Shining thing. Sweeney Todd, like the latest version of Sweeney Todd. You do Sweeney Todd.
Pirelli.
Then we decide if it works or not.
Anyway, I was surprised.
You play Sweeney Todd.
No,
in Joe's version, you're not even Sweeney Todd.
You're Pirelli. Folks, if you're following me on Letterboxd, that is fun.
And you better be.
Thank you very much. You can always check with my 2024 horror movie power rankings. And yes, the power rankings are subject to change because that's what a power ranking is all about. Cuckoo did really well, folks. It's coming in week 1 at 5, right over Longlegs, pushing Longlegs to 6.
Whoa, above Longlegs.
I liked Cuckoo a little tiny bit more than Longlegs.
This is great to hear.
Even though I think Longlegs is a smarter piece of work, Cuckoo is I like it a little bit more because it really was original. I really liked the performances. I thought the script was really good, and unlike Longlegs, I thought Longlegs, for as good as it was, fell apart in Act 3 after Nick. Oh, I don't want to give it away, but whatever. It falls apart in Act 3.
This is why Joe likes Cuckoo though, is we're not even getting any like remote Cuckoo spoilers. This is why we know that Joe actually likes Cuckoo.
No,
the spoilers come out of like a contempt for the movie is when you get spoilers. When you don't get any spoilers, it means it's a good movie.
I think there's some frustrating parts of Cuckoo. I think that it hits sort of some roadblocks here and there, but overall it feels original. It's exciting. I liked Hunter Schafer's performance, and I really loved the art direction. I thought her costumer was going for iconic Hunter Schafer horror role, and I don't know who did it, but the costume designer nailed it. I loved the way Hunter Schafer was dressed throughout the film and the way her body unfortunately falls apart, and she just looks so funny and good.
So there's some body horror vibes in this.
Well, there's some Cronenbergian.
I gotta watch it. I'm gonna watch this movie.
The movie is. People don't like it because they're like, well, what's the point? Well, the point is a good story well told.
What's the point? Fuck off.
What's the point of your fucking pathetic
Thank
life?
you.
To check your fucking
Thank you.
Experian courts? Sorry.
Credit score? What do you think?
Yeah, I was just like, wait, what's the point of Cuckoo? The point is to have a really fun 2 hours.
I'm very excited to see how your horror power rankings evolve in the next couple of weeks, because just to preview, and if you are not already, make sure, please, I'm begging you, this is free of charge, takes 1 second, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are getting close to being able to monetize our YouTube channel, which is going to be a huge fucking help to this show and the future of this show, and all you have to do to help us get there is no cost to you. Just go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/moviesbaby. But you'll be able to see our upcoming like movies that we're going to be reviewing week by week. And Joe, I mean, your horror rankings are going to go through some twists and turns, because we've got Alien Romulus coming up. We've got The Crow coming up. We've got Beetlejuice coming up. We've got the James McAvoy-led Speak No Evil coming up. That's all by mid-September. So you've got a lot. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns.
Happens.
A lot of twists and turns.
It's going to be fun, folks. Yeah, so, check back into the show. We're always doing our horror rankings. Anyway, Cuckoo, welcome to the list, baby. You premiered really great. We'll see where you stand next week, but good movie. Totally fun movie, despite Dan danning a little bit. Dan was also fun in a lot of parts.
Doing Dan. Dan's gonna Dan.
I have no hatred towards Dan. He's just a television actor, that's all.
All right. We're gonna end tonight's main episode on the free feed with the review of It Ends With Us, which is really probably the most talked about movie this week because of all of this drama going on around the scenes with It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us is a movie that I've never had less context for or preparation for going into, I think. This is like, what's the woman who wrote the book?
I think it's Colleen Hoover.
Colleen Hoover. This is like a big book, a big world unto itself. I was not prepared for this. I'm new to this, but I immersed myself in It Ends With Us this week, and I have a lot of thoughts. But let's start, before we get to the movie itself, let's start with all this drama around the movie, which we are going to, for you, try to coherently summarize now, even though the point of the drama is that it has no center and that it doesn't make any sense, and it's just probably ultimately all publicity for the movie. But here are things that we know about the movie It Ends With Us, behind the scenes drama. The two fighting camps are, on one hand, we have the star of the movie, Blake Lively, and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, who we said are Hollywood's new, whether you like it or not, financially, objectively, the new power couple. They literally have the top 2 movies in the box office this week. And also, like, it's not a down week at the box office. Like, this movie made $50 million opening weekend off of a $20 million budget. Massive success, coming on the heels of Ryan Reynolds' massive success with Deadpool and Wolverine. On the other hand, you have Justin Baldoni, who is also one of the stars of the movie and the director of the movie, and the guy who originally bought the rights to the book. He is the one who shepherded this thing from book to movie, start to finish. And you would think that, by all accounts, everybody should be getting along. The movie's doing great, blah, blah, blah. But for various reasons that were first sort of picked up on by fans, it seems like there was some sort of tension between the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds camp and the Justin Baldoni camp. And here is the evidence that there is some sort of tension, because neither of them have come out and have explicitly said any shit about the other, but there has been a lot of passive aggressive things going on that people cannot ignore and that we cannot ignore. So here is what we know. Number one, at the premiere of the movie, they never like posed together or like came together, which is very bizarre for the star of the movie and the director of the movie to not like be together at the premiere of the movie. They were both physically there, and they very like conspicuously avoided each other. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And then people started digging into the press tours, and they were like, oh yeah, they kind of did like separate press tours. They weren't together for interviews. It was always Blake and usually one of the other co-stars, and then Justin Baldoni was doing his own interviews. So they were never together for the press tours. And then if you dig into their comments about the movie, you start to find this sort of passive aggressive shade going on. Whereas Lively said about being the star and the director of the movie, she said, I mean, what, because she was asked about this, quote, I mean, what an intense job to do so many things. I just found it to be something like, wow, I really just want to have one job at once. I was looking around like, yeah, I'm just good with acting. I really love it. I just want to do acting. And then it's basically saying like, you know, like this guy had to do directing and acting, and maybe it was too much for him. Whereas for me, I was happy just doing acting. But then Justin separately then said, seemingly in sort of response to this, he said he was asked if there was a sequel to this movie, if he would direct it. And he said, you know what? I think Blake should direct the sequel. I think she would actually be very good at directing it. I think I've done all that I can. And I think Blake's ready to direct. Right. So these are classic like insults disguised as compliments going on. And then that's on top of them just never appearing together in photos or anything. In addition to this, and this is like a new sort of like we're getting into like gossip here, which I really like. This might be a new potential for movies, baby. This is real just deep gossip.
Not facts.
The other angle here is the Ryan Reynolds angle, which if you think Ryan is just the sort of supportive spouse in all of this, you're wrong. Blake implied that Ryan Reynolds rewrote some of the dialogue for this movie, and specifically rewrote some of the key dialogue for this movie. She said, and I quote, "The iconic rooftop scene, my husband actually wrote it." And she said this to E! News right on the day of the premiere of the movie. "The iconic rooftop scene, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but now you know."
Okay.
Number one, the movie hadn't come out yet. So calling something iconic is maybe a little bit ahead of time.
Okay.
And Joe, having seen the movie, and I'm not like, and I will tell you right now, this is like, I didn't hate the movie. I had problems with it. There's things I liked. There's things I didn't like. The rooftop scene could not be less iconic. Is not an iconic.
Was it pivotal to the narrative?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
All right, at least.
It was pivotal to the narrative. Calling it iconic is hilarious.
Sure, okay.
But her saying that doesn't tell us anything about the movie, but it does start to flesh out what is probably the issue here. And so here is my read of probably what the root of the issue here is, that you have two opposing forces at work in this movie. You have this guy Justin Baldoni, who was is a just like shockingly attractive person. He is just like the most sort of conventionally attractive person you could probably imagine.
Wow.
He's a television actor, he's been in stuff, but he also had this production company, and behind the scenes he was the one
handsome.
He was the one that shepherded, and the movie itself, half of the movie is about how handsome he is. That's kind of like one of the main plot points of the movie. He shepherded this movie from, he bought the rights to the book. Through his production company, he got it made. He directed it. He's in it, right? So he perceived this as like his movie, right?
He's right.
And but then Blake Lively got cast in it, and this is not like Gone Baby Gone era Blake Lively. This is not even Gossip Girl era Blake Lively. This is like ascendant power couple Blake Lively. I'm Taylor Swift's best friend.
Yep.
I'm married to Ryan Reynolds. I am about to take over, and I need a project that is going to manifest my takeover.
Oh, this is a good one. She's
right?
smart.
So Justin Baldoni's like passion project collided with Blake Lively like A-list ascendant project, and that is, I think, where the crisis ultimately occurred. What is an inevitable crisis? It was always going to be tension on set, because Blake and Ryan have their goals, and Justin has his goals, and then that's where all this sort of drama came out of. And there's a lot of fun little shit talking on set. My favorite story is about how apparently there's definitely a scene where Justin has to like pick up Blake in one of their numerous like loves romantic scenes. He's got to pick up Blake, and apparently Justin Baldoni has had back problems, and so he asked like one of the technical advisors on the movie like the best way to pick up Blake to like minimize the chance of hurting his back. And then Blake heard about this, and she thought that he was like fat shaming her and so this apparently, so there's all this like little shit that went on. But if you read about this online, it's just going to be chaos of just passive aggressiveness and shit talking.
This is Olivia Wilde, Florence Pugh.
Yes, it is.
Stuff.
But it's better. It's honestly better. It's better than Don't Worry, Darling. Because what I'm telling you is that the root of all this, I'm guiding you to the root of all this, is that you have two people working on two different projects that are the same project. You have Blake Lively working on the project of making Blake Lively famous, a award-winning actor and a lifestyle brand influencer, and then you have Justin Baldoni trying to make his like passion project movie and possibly transitioning into like a like writer-director kind of like, star of his own movies thing. So you have two people at odds on the same project. That's where all this is coming out of, and all the little shit talking is just them fighting the war. It's very entertaining though. I would recommend like reading up on all of this. Now, the problem that we run into though is that this movie, the actual movie, is ultimately an exploration of, at its heart, an exploration of domestic violence in the world of like rich, bougie, white culture. How domestic violence can sort of hide behind different things, right? And can happen where you least expect it. But the reason you least expect it is because of all your sort of biases and prejudices about things, right? So there is like a meaning. This is not fucking 2 weeks notice with Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock. This is not a like light romantic comedy where you can sort of war behind the set and it's all fun. They're warring behind the set on a movie that has like a strong thematic central message. So this movie is I think that's why this movie has become this big sort of cultural touchstone this last week, is because you have this combination of like celebrity gossip with like a strong thematic underpinning to the movie, and people are trying to sort of orient their brains around how to think about this whole thing while they're seeing it.
And Blake Lively's getting the J-Lo treatment on TikTok this week.
She's getting burned.
AKA
She's getting burned.
everybody's coming out and saying, Blake, you're being insensitive. You're only caring about your lifestyle brand ambitions and your marketing ploys, and you're not getting the word out about domestic violence, which is what this movie's sort of centered around. And now
Justin's
they're
playing,
slowly playing catch up on the PR.
And
mess.
Justin seemed to be playing that. That's how I think he played. That was his card to play, was that when all this shit came out about like Justin and Blake warring behind the set, and he seemed to be getting the worst of it. Everyone was siding with Blake Lively because she has the bigger fan base. He hired like a crisis management team literally to handle his PR around this movie. And their big move was to like make his press tour about domestic violence organizations, about how the movie is about domestic violence. So their move seemed to be like, we're going to focus on the themes of the movie and then sort of like get everyone's sympathy behind Justin versus Blake. So the PR tour, to me, I saw the movie, and Joe, I've never been, I felt like I was watching a movie like on another planet. Like I was not on planet Earth. Like I was like watching, and I look how I look, and I'm the age that I'm at. I'm as plugged into culture as anybody. I know all the fucking shit. All I do all day is fucking be online and watch movies and TV. I was not prepared for the like experience of watching this movie. I did not know what was happening at first. I thought I was, we talk about this like alternative Christian cinema that's developing. I felt like I was at like one of those movies where I was like, I'm like at someone else's cult meeting right now. Because not only was the movie sort of like culturally strange to me, the audience was like reacting more than any movie I've been at all year, more than Deadpool and Wolverine, more than Dune, more than fucking Fury Road, more than Furiosa, more than Twisters, anything. This audience was gasping and sighing and like, oh my God, I can't believe you would do that to her. They were reacting to every little twist and turn. But the movie itself was such a like bizarre world for me. And it took me, I'm thinking about it in the last, I've watched it last night. I've been thinking about it all night, all day. The plot of the movie is simple. I'll give you the plot of the movie first. It's very simple. It is this woman who comes from like a rich family in Maine, and she moves to Boston after her father's death, and she opens up a flower shop, and then she gets into this love triangle with a guy from her past and then a guy from her present who's like, and the guy from her present is a neurosurgeon who's Justin Baldoni, the director of the movie, and he's so gorgeous and handsome, but he's also potentially abusive. He has like, and I'm saying potentially because the movie sort of like the rhythms of the movie don't give everything away at first. So he has like, he's
some red flag tendencies.
Thank you. He has red flags, and then there's a guy from her past, this kid who was who had sort of a troubled childhood from her hometown, who she lost her virginity to, who she like then reconnects with in Boston years later. And there's this sort of love triangle between like, who is she supposed to be with, who's the better pair for her, et cetera, et cetera. So it has a sort of basics familiar plot to it, but the vibe of the movie is so bizarre and so hard to get my head around. This is the way I will summarize it for you. Is to me, this movie epitomizes, and I want to say first of all, I do not in any way, none of my criticisms of this movie have anything to do with like the realities of domestic violence. Like, I'm going to start being fairly like, flippant about this movie, because I don't think this movie is like appreciates the realities of domestic violence. So I'm not like, domestic violence is almost separate from this movie, even though it's part of the plot of this movie. Because what this movie is ultimately doing to me is epitomizing and representing this white fantasy of being simultaneously privileged and victimized, of like simultaneously like enjoying all of the luxuries of white privilege, and like, we get the most. We're in Boston for this movie. It is like, the most gentrified boho chic version of Boston you've ever seen in your life. It is just flower shops and pop-up restaurants and like trendy bars. It is like and all of these like handsome, good-looking people are wearing like novelty onesies for fun while they watch Bruins games. They're going to like there's a scene where like Hassan Minhaj is like, "Hey, why don't we all get fucked up tonight?" And then they just go to Lucky Strike bowling alley for 2 hours and then go home early. Like this is such a like it is like the movie version of gentrification. I don't know how else to put it. It's just like it is. But then within this movie, and everyone is just like unaccountably rich, like the apartments are gorgeous. There's just like no one has like, it's a neurosurgeon and she owns a flower shop and I don't know where she got the money for it from and it doesn't matter. And Hassan Minhaj is in tech and that's how he pays for everything. But the money is just like accepted. Like let's just have all the characters be rich so that they can all so that we can sort of show off the casual luxury of their lives. And then in the midst of all this, and there's product placement for Capital One credit cards and Lucky Strike bowling alley and so in the midst of all of this, then they're trying to do like a domestic violence plot. And so it's like it just sort of plays as like false. It's hard to take it seriously. And I actually think in isolation they do an interesting thing with domestic violence where they try to, without giving anything away, they try to put you sort of in the point of view of someone who's being gaslit about domestic violence. So like the revelation of how the domestic violence is working is sort of this process in the movie. And I actually think in isolation they do that well, but putting that in the context of this like boho chic gentrified fucking rich kid trust fund fucking world, pumpkin spice latte, everything's great, that's a hard aesthetic to do domestic violence like against, and I think they kind of fail ultimately. And it plays instead of being like a realistic movie about domestic violence, it plays as this like fantasy camp movie in which like white people can like have their cake and eat it too, where they can sort of be victim and they can be privileged. They can have all of the sort of benefits of privilege, but also be sort of like victims of society as well and enjoy both things. But there's ultimately sort of no cost. Like the guy who is the abuser in the movie, he gets like a talking to, but he has like no real consequences to his abuse. He doesn't suffer any real, like he just gets to keep being a successful neurosurgeon. So it's a movie that I think like in a way, like the movie dramatizes, like the drama around the movie kind of represents what the problem of the movie is that it wants to be two things at once. It wants to be like a career maker for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but they have different career aspirations. And so the movie is trying to be like a career maker for these two ascendant stars, but it is also realizes that like it's 2024, so we gotta have like an issue in here that we're like that we're serious about. And so it sort of like plays out this domestic violence thing in the midst of it, and it just all plays as like pretty false and artificial and hard to get on board with. That being said, Joe, here is my confession, and this is the thing that I've like struggled to like to sort of like plug into all of this. I like cried at this movie 3 times. I kid you not. 3 separate times.
You didn't tell me that yet.
I did not tell you. Yeah. 3 separate times.
You love this movie, dude.
Physical, not like oh, getting like wet.
You're fucking crying.
Physical tears down my face 3 separate times.
Fuck. All right,
but it was not. They were never like. Each time it was not like, yes, I'm having an emotion. Each time it was like, I'm being like fucking manipulated.
It's
manipulated. So and I am also like primed to be manipulated because you know this.
You're dumb.
Like A, I'm dumb.
No,
B, I fucking love the movies. So like give me all of it.
Right.
C, ever since I've had a kid, I'm fucking cooked. a cross breeze will make me cry. Like it's like it doesn't take anything. So there's like kid stuff and kid and parent stuff in the movie. I'm fucking done. I'm done. So this is a very like, and you know what the crazy part is? The third one was on the fucking drive home. Like it's stuck with I like that but it was never a satisfying cry. It was always like a fuck off cry. It was like stop doing that. Like of course I'm gonna cry at the dead kid shit and all this fucking shit. No, that's not a spoiler. Okay. But like you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
But there's just like I'm kind of recommending that you go see this movie.
Sounds like what we have here is a very interesting, fun movie.
Yes. I'm recommending that you go
to talk about.
Because I watched this last night. I am still wrapping my head around it. I actually I kind of want to recommend that you sneak into this movie because I'm not keen for this movie to keep making tons of money because I think ultimately the cultural trends around it are pretty fucking awful, but. In the year 2024, this is a very interesting movie to see in theaters.
I like the pitch. We'll see if I go.
Joe, you got to go see this movie. I need because also I'm am I wrong about everything? I need another person that
I want to go.
I'll go.
I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. You trust me? That's great.
It's like if a pumpkin spice latte made a movie about domestic violence that made me cry 3 times. But
the pumpkin spice latte was so talented.
Look, Blake Lively is a very talented actor who has no compass. A talented actor with no without the thing that
she's charismatic on screen.
Yes.
All right.
And Justin Baldoni's psychotically handsome.
I like that.
I didn't know they still made movies like this.
We're going. Meet Margot.
This isn't what Boston is, or is it? I don't know.
Who else is here?
I don't.
My wife, my dog, my son can go. We're all going to go.
Here's the thing. Don't let me be alone with It Ends With Us. Please go see it. And then we'll talk about it more because I don't even feel like I scratched the surface of what the experience of. This was the weirdest movie I've seen in 10 years was It Ends With Us.
The weirdest movie you've seen in 10 years, folks.
This was a bizarre movie.
Wow.
The rooftop, the fact that Blake Lively thought that the rooftop scene was iconic only further complicates my understanding of the movie. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. Every year,
somebody tell me something about It Ends With Us that isn't just me.
Every year,
some sort of affirmation or
I get one pumpkin spice latte because I love pumpkin flavored stuff. I don't care if it's a trope or a cliche. That's just the way I am. Thank you, Margaret. Also, I'm open to more. I don't get more than one because A, too much milk for my tummy, and then B, a little too sweet. But that one on the right fall crisp day, you can direct my movie that day. Pumpkin spice latte.
Wow.
Direct my movie. Brett, that was fun, but we got work to do on the other side of this paywall. Okay. We have to scale the paywall, get on the other side.
So we're trying to keep this to 1 hour
movies.
tonight. Good news, we kept it to an hour and a half.
It's not bad news. We're going to, folks.
All right. So we're going to be back after the break. All right. So here is what's going on. Okay. We're going to be back after the break. Next week. How are you? Is there any movie this year that you've been more excited for than Alien Romulus?
Yes.
There has been?
I'm sorry I said yes, but yeah, I mean, Megalopolis exists.
Sure, Megalopolis. Sure. But I'm very excited for Alien Romulus.
I wasn't, but then I got hyped because I remembered, oh, wait, I love Alien.
Yes. I love Alien.
And I love Fetty.
And we're feeling, oh, yes. We have a great director.
And I love Kaylee.
A great franchise. You love your Kaylee Spaney.
Let's go.
I cannot wait for Alien Romulus. Next week, we're going to be talking Alien Romulus. We're also going to be ranking all the Alien movies. We're going to do a big Alien week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you join us for that. As I said before, please sign up for our YouTube and our Patreon. Here's what I'm going to say. Anybody who's listening to this right now, go to patreon.com/moviesbaby. just sign up for free. Just sign up for free. It's literally like following us on Instagram, okay? Just go over there and sign up for free. That helps us with our numbers on Patreon, and it just keeps you informed of all the cool stuff going on over there. So I'm going to say this week, I'm not going to say you have to give us any money, sign up for anything. Just go over to patreon.com/moviesbaby, sign up for free. Sign up. Then you're going to get to be part of the polls that we do over there. You're going to be alerted about all the bonus stuff we're doing over there, and you're just like part of the fucking crew, okay?
Come on.
And it does really help us if our numbers over there go up, even if it's free signups. That helps us a lot. And then we do. This is long in the waiting, and it's totally my fault. We do have a new episode of Sarah Frelick's After Death VHS coming out.
Thank goodness.
It's really, really fucking good. The pics are as good as ever. The discourse is as good as ever. It's my fault this has not come out yet, but it's coming out very, very soon. We just have a lot of shit going on Movies Baby these days, but this is coming out very, very soon, and that's only on the Patreon. That's where you're going to get it, and that's where you're going to love it, and that's where the movie lovers exist, baby. And speaking of that, we're going to be back now after the break in about 5 to 10 minutes with our top 5 video game movies of all time. This is going to be a bloodbath. We're going to be talking Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Resident
I'm going to be
Evil.
so aggressive.
We're going to have a whole
so pithy.
We're going to have a whole Uwe Boll reckoning that you're going to want to stay tuned for. This is a big
we watched 30 to 40 video game movies this week. You best be listening to us behind the paywall.
After show week on Movies Baby, and it's only going to happen on the Patreon. So go sign up there, and we'll be back with you in 10 minutes. Can't wait to see you then.
See you there.
Bye.